Okay, Mr. Orm. Go ahead. We'll know where to find you.
Just my luck to haul in a mess of jellyfish.
Wish you luck.
So long.
Thanks.
This doctor sounds like our friend Schiller to me, Jace.
Uh-huh.
And then he was lying to us.
Yeah. Let's go get a warrant.
In just a moment, we will continue with Tales of the Texas Rangers, starring Joel McRae as Ranger Jace Pearson.
This long Labor Day weekend means a glorious holiday for millions of Americans. But it also means death, injury, heartache, and grief for several hundred of the throng. Since Friday evening, more than 40 million automobiles, one for every 4 persons in the United States, have been taking to our nation's highways. So today and tomorrow, as you drive, please be careful. If roads are slippery from rain or crowded with returning vacationists, the safe speed is much slower than the posted speed limits. Drive safely. Drive in accordance with road conditions, for the life you save may be your own. And when you reach home safely tomorrow, once again remind yourself that school starts this week in many localities throughout the nation. 4 times a day beginning this week, these school children will be walking to and from school. Watch for children whenever you drive. A child may dare, so drive with care. Now, the second act of Tales of the Texas Rangers.
We continue now with Tales of the Texas Rangers and our authentic story, Misplaced Person.
We got a search warrant and headed for the court where Dr. Schiller lived. When we got there, Mrs. Akers, who ran the place, told us he wasn't home, but walked us over to his trailer. We wanted to get a little background on Schiller, so we let her rattle on about the doctor.
You see, it ain't often an old shoe like me get a chance to talk to a famous Viennese psychiatrist like Dr. Schiller.
I suppose not.
Yes, ma'am.
Besides, it sure is gratifying to have one four-wheeler in here that ain't loaded with up-teen kids. Oh, this is it, Rangers.
How long has the doctor's trailer been parked here, Mrs. Akers?
Oh, about 4 months, I reckon. And, Ranger, in that short time, I've learned things about myself. What I mean is the doctor has brought out the inner someone that's really me.
You mean he's been telling you what goes on in your mind?
Yeah. You see, I used to fool myself all the time. Used to rationalize, sublimate, all them defense kind of things. Now I've just thrown away my inhibitions. I'm beginning to look life square in the eye. It's bleak, but rewarding.
I see. How long has Dr. Schiller been helping you, Mrs. Akers?
Oh, most ever since he came, I guess. Of course, psychoanalysis is just exhausting. But when I think of all the years I thought cooking was my primary urge, well, I didn't even know what a libido was in those days.
How much does Dr. Schiller charge you for these treatments, ma'am?
Lands, he don't charge me anything. I just give him a check once in a while for his relief fund.
Relief fund?
Yeah. See, doctor's always thinking about them poor, misplaced persons wandering all over the map of Europe. Likes to send them over money for shoes and grub for their knapsacks and all.
Has the doctor any other patients, Mrs. Akers?
Well, I told you, he ain't practicing. Just likes to unscramble a few friends of his out of the kindness of his heart.
Mrs. Akers, this picture's from a missing persons file. You ever seen this woman in your trailer court?
Let's see. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's Miss Orm. She's a real good friend of Doc Schiller's. Used to come see him right often.
When was the last time you saw her?
Oh, it's been quite a spell now. A month or two anyway. Must have left town, I reckon.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Akers. I reckon we better go in now, Clay.
Yeah.
Oh, I told you the doctor was out, Ranger.
We have a warrant, ma'am.
Warrant? He ain't in any kind of trouble, is he?
We don't know yet. You want to come in with us?
I can't. I got to get back to dice my hand, but you go right ahead, Rangers, because I'm dead sure Dr. Schiller's got nothing to hide.
Thanks very much, ma'am.
Seems like there's nothing much in here but books, Jace. Most of them are foreign.
Have a look in that desk over there.
Yeah.
Look at this address book, Clay.
Find something?
Yeah. Here's Alma Orm's name and address.
Here he is, Jace.
Good evening, gentlemen. Is it an old American custom to pay calls when the host is not at home?
We have a warrant to search your trailer, Doctor.
So, well, I see that you've already found what you want.
That's right, Doctor.
I thought you told us you didn't know Mrs. Orme.
As I recall when I talked to you, you did not know her name. Isn't it not so?
That's true. When you looked at her in the funeral parlor, you said you'd never seen her before.
Come on, let's not waste time, Doctor. We have evidence that she came to your trailer often.
Quite right. So she did.
And you must have recognized the body.
Yes, I recognized Mrs. Orme, but I did not wish to be questioned as to what I know about her.
Why?
Because in my profession, such information is confidential.
Even when she's dead?
Of course.
I'm afraid we can't go along with that, Doctor. We're investigating a murder. As far as ethics are concerned, what about your practicing without a license?
I do not practice. I listen to the troubles of a few friends of mine, that is all.
But you received money from them.
Yes, I did. But not for myself. For those persons aboard who have to stare into the rubble of their home and trudge on, the memory dragging down on their backs. I have been destitute and penniless myself, I know.
Can you actually prove you sent these donations?
Of course. Here. This is my canceled check, gentlemen, made out to the relief organization at Oberhagen. And here on the back, you will see the notation. Mrs. Ackers, $55. Mrs. Orme, $40. As you will see, my check represents the total of their donations.
Well, if you don't practice here, Doctor, then you have money of your own to live on.
No. Do you see these hands?
Yes?
These are the hands that once held a trepan in the most delicate of brain operations. Now they fold dressings, boil instruments, push patients in wheelchairs.
Where?
At the Thaxton Clinic here in Corpus Christi. When? Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 2 until 10.
We can easily check that, you know.
Precisely. That's why I told you.
Why didn't you want to identify Mrs. Orme's body?
You are intimating, of course, that I'm under suspicion of murder.
You lied to us, Doctor. Why shouldn't you be?
I see.
We want to know why you lied to us. Now, Dr. Schiller, I asked you a question.
All right, gentlemen. When I learned that Mrs. Orme was dead, I was afraid. Afraid that if I admitted knowing her, I would be accused of practicing without a license. And my chances for becoming a citizen would be seriously impaired.
Well, if you weren't practicing, what'd you have to worry about?
Her husband.
Mr. Orme?
Yes. He threatened to accuse me of taking money for the treatment of his wife.
I see.
This man is vicious, a hypomanic type. I was always afraid if Mrs. Orme stayed with him longer, some violence would come to her.
So you told her to leave him?
Naturally. If she had taken my advice, this tragedy might have been averted.
You know, don't you, Doctor, that just by giving advice you are guilty of practicing without a license?
But what would you have me do? Stand by and see this poor woman suffer when I had the power to help her?
There are licensed psychiatrists you could have sent her to.
I tried to. But she wanted advice from me as a friend. And it was as a friend that I gave it to her, with no thought of compensation.
We don't make the laws in this state, Doctor.
But if you could have seen as I did, the terror in that poor woman's mind, you would have done the same thing. It doesn't take a doctor to know that this man is dangerous. Even the night he was here, he flew into a rage and struck her.
Wait a minute. You say you've seen Mr. Orme?
Certainly.
When?
The night he came here to my trailer and threatened to accuse me of illegal practice.
Mr. Orme said he'd never met you.
Why, the man nearly strangled me. There was a shameful scene on the steps out there.
Anybody else see you with him?
Of course. He must have aroused the whole trailer court.
Can you remember any specific witness who could identify him?
Oh, yes. Mr. Harker, Willie Harker. He lives down there in the last trailer.
What was the date of all this, Doctor?
It was the last time Mrs. Orme visited me. Let me look on my calendar. Let's see here. Yes, it was October 3rd, about 5 weeks ago, I should say.
It checks pretty closely with the approximated date of the murder, Clay.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Did Orme take his wife with him when he left here?
Yes, I was alarmed for her safety.
Looks like you had good reason to be. You know, don't you, Doctor, that we're going to have to check up on all these things?
I hope you will.
Why don't you come along with us while we talk to Willie Harker?
Of course, gentlemen.
Dr. Schiller led us to a two-wheel trailer parked about 100 feet from his own. You could hear a baby crying, and a thin, sallow little man was sitting on the steps. When he saw us coming, he got up quickly and went inside. Was that Harker?
Yes, that is he.
Mr. Harker?
Yeah?
Texas Rangers. You come outside, we want to talk to you.
Yeah? Oh. Hello, Doc.
Dr. Schiller here says that you saw a man named Red Orme drag his wife out of the doctor's trailer several weeks ago. Is that right?
No. I don't know anyone by that name. I never heard of him.
Mr. Harker.
Just a minute, Doctor. He's a big fella.
Got a red face. I understand he was pretty rough with his wife.
I'm sorry. I can't remember anything about it. If that's all, will you excuse me? I'd like to go change the baby. My wife's out. The kid's kind of fussy today.
Hey, wait a minute, Harker.
Yeah.
You're sure you didn't see a man and his wife quarreling outside of the doctor's trailer?
No, sir. Ain't seen anything out of the ordinary that I can recall.
Mr. Harker, what do you mean you didn't see anything?
Just what I said. I don't know nothing about any quarrel.
Well, Doctor?
Why, Mr. Harker, you followed him out to his car. Don't you remember?
No, I'm sorry, Doc.
Oh, Mr. Harker, I know what it is. You're trying to protect me. You think I'm in some kind of trouble, no?
I just can't remember anything about it.
We're investigating a murder, Harker. If you do know anything, I advise you to tell us.
If you don't, you're practically convicting me.
How can I tell what I don't remember?
He's lying. You are deliberately lying. Why? Why? Tell me that. What are you afraid of? You have to tell the truth.
I wouldn't be holding back anything if I were you, Harker.
But I don't know anything.
Tell them the truth. Mr. Harker, if I had not been afraid, I would not be under suspicion now. I was brought up on fear, but why should you be afraid?
Well, Harker?
All right. I was afraid to tell what I saw. I'm afraid for my wife and kid. I got more reason to protect them than to protect you, Doctor.
Let's have it, Harker. Tell us what you saw that night.
Well, just like the doc here said, Orm dragged his wife out to the car, and he started beating her. She screamed, so I followed him. I tried to help her, that's all.
What happened?
Grabbed me by the neck and like to strangle me. Wouldn't let go. I promised to keep still about what I seen.
See anything more?
No. I beat it as fast as I could. I was afraid he'd change his mind and really croak me. He was putting his wife in the back seat of the car last I seen.
Was she unconscious?
Sure looked like it. Wasn't moving anyway.
Why didn't you report this to the police?
Well, because I was scared of him.
All right, Mr. Harker. You and the doctor come down to the sheriff's office with us. We want to take written statements from both of you. We took the statements of the doctor and Willie Harker. While Red Orm was still at sea, we located his car. There were bloodstains on the floor of the back seat. We took these to our lab in Austin for examination. The stains matched Mrs. Orm's blood type. We headed back for Redfish Bay. When we reached the wharf, the Caroline was riding at her moorings.
There he is, Jace, up forward drying his nets.
Hey, Orm.
Who is it?
Texas Rangers.
Fella's got that quack doctor yet?
Yeah, we talked to him.
Weazened up little crawfish. I'd throw him back if I caught him. What'd you do, lock him up?
Not yet.
So the killer's still walking around loose, is he?
Yeah, he is.
Say, what's eating you? What are you standing there glaring at me for?
I thought you said you'd never seen Dr. Schiller.
I ain't, and if I ever do, I'll beat the tar out of
I
him.
think you've done about enough beating.
What do you mean?
You were seen dragging your wife out of Schiller's trailer, Orm, the night she was killed.
Yeah?
2 witnesses saw you hit her.
That's a lie.
No, it isn't. We even found blood on the upholstery of your car that matches your wife's.
Why, you sneaking lubbers snooping around my digs while I'm out at sea. I'll throw the both of you off here.
I wouldn't try it, Orm. Put out your hand.
I'll douse your glimpse for you. That's it.
Told you not to try it. Get up now. Give me the cuffs, Clay.
Here, Jace.
Ain't gonna get me for murder. Because I didn't mean to do it. I just wanted to teach her a lesson.
You did kill her then.
No, I just got sore and I struck out at her. And when she wouldn't answer me, I got madder and madder.
You better come along, Orm.
You can't blame me for this. She had it coming to her. She had it coming to her.
Suppose we let the court decide that. Come on.
In just a moment, we will tell you the results of the case you have just heard.
Many of your favorite NBC programs already have returned to the air in their regular fall time periods. And throughout the coming weeks, many more great programs will once again be featured on the NBC radio network. This week, we know you'll want to hear The Cavalcade of America on Tuesday with Robert Cummings in the starring role. Wednesday brings another authentic big story and the recounting of a reporter's battle to prove the identity of a killer. Thursday on NBC features both The Roy Rogers Show and Father Knows Best. And this Friday, Guy Lombardo will bring you the nation's most popular music on Your Hit Parade. These 5 favorite programs are sure to please, And they're only a small part of the entire weekly lineup of enjoyable listening on NBC. So remember, this week it's Cavalcade of America, The Big Story,